Your shoes are more than just functional items that protect your feet. They are carriers of energy, silent witnesses to every place you've walked, every experience you've lived, and every emotional state you've passed through. Each step you take imprints energy into your shoes. Whether you walked into a hospital filled with anxiety, an office charged with ambition and pressure, or a sacred space of healing and meditation, that energy does not simply disappear when you take your shoes off. It clings to the soles, the fabric, the material, absorbing and anchoring vibrations that then enter your home with you. When you leave your shoes in the wrong place in your house, especially near spaces associated with rest, focus, or wealth, you unknowingly disrupt the energetic balance of your environment. Think of your home as a living organism. Just as your body becomes unwell when harmful substances build up, your space also becomes energetically congested when low vibrations are not consciously cleared or redirected. Shoes left without mindfulness act like energy anchors, pulling down the frequency of that room, that corner, or that threshold. Spiritual and energy-based traditions like Feng Shui, Vastu Shastra, and even indigenous rituals have long emphasized the importance of what comes into the home and where it is placed. Shoes, being directly in contact with the ground, are some of the most symbolically potent objects. They are seen as boundary keepers between the outside world and the inner sanctuary of your home. But if they are left in a place where energy is meant to rise, like a wealth corner, meditation zone, or sacred altar, they become blockers. They anchor past tension, stress, fear, or scarcity into the present moment, locking your space into the vibrations you've already lived rather than the vibrations you want to invite. This is why where you place your shoes matters more than most people realize. It's not just about cleanliness or organization. It's about honoring the energetic hygiene of your space. Leaving your shoes under your bed, for example, can affect your dreams, your rest, and your emotional well-being. It grounds you to the problems of the outside world while you sleep. Placing shoes near your entrance without proper storage can disrupt the symbolic clarity of your threshold, making your coming and going filled with unconscious stress. Storing them near wealth or vision boards can literally pull your financial energy into the ground before it has the chance to rise. Think about the idea of vibrational memory. Everything in life is vibration. Your thoughts, your emotions, your actions. When you take action in a state of fear, lack, or survival mode, your body holds that, and so do your belongings. Shoes, because they accompany you through those experiences, soak in that frequency. When you leave them in places of power, places that are meant to elevate your frequency, you're mixing opposing energies. You are anchoring the old in the space where the new is meant to manifest. To live consciously, you must treat even the most mundane acts as rituals. Taking off your shoes should be a moment of energetic reset. You're not just removing something physical, you're letting go of what the world has handed you that day. When done mindfully, even the act of placing your shoes in a designated area becomes an act of purification. You're saying, I honor my space. I honor myself. I choose what enters here. This doesn't mean you have to adopt an elaborate practice. Sometimes, all it takes is awareness and respect. Create a space near your door that is clean, intentionally chosen, and perhaps even energetically cleared, such as with salt, incense, or a grounding stone. A small shelf, a box, or a closed cabinet can act as a boundary keeper. Let that place be where your shoes rest, where their vibrational load is neutralized before anything enters deeper into your home. Your home is your temple. It responds to how you treat it, and your shoes, though humble, are powerful symbols. If you want clarity in your life, purpose in your direction, and wealth in your environment, you must start with the small things. Your shoes are not just shoes, they are energy carriers. Where you leave them can decide whether you remain stuck in old cycles or step boldly into the life you are trying to create. ChatGPT said every home holds sacred spaces, areas that are energetically charged with meaning, emotion, and purpose. These might not always be designated altars or meditation corners. They can be as simple as your bedroom, your workspace, your kitchen, or even the front entrance. What all sacred spaces have in common is their purpose. They are meant to restore, inspire, center, and align, but for them to do their work, they require one essential quality: clarity. And clarity cannot exist where there is clutter. Clutter is not just about too many objects or lack of tidiness. In the energetic and symbolic sense, clutter represents emotional fog, mental confusion, spiritual disconnection, and physical stagnation. When your sacred spaces are overwhelmed with unnecessary items, misplaced belongings, or things dumped unconsciously, the energy in those areas becomes static. It stops flowing. It turns heavy. And instead of receiving clarity, peace, or abundance from that space, you start to absorb the stuckness it holds. Nowhere is this more important than in how we treat the corners and transitions within our home. According to ancient energy systems like Feng Shui and Vastu Shastra, every part of the home holds symbolic energy. The far left corner of your home, when viewed from the entrance, is traditionally associated with wealth and prosperity. The center of your home is linked to health. The entrance is the mouth of energy, the place where all external vibrations enter. Clutter in these spaces is not just an eyesore, it's an energetic obstacle. Shoes left in the wealth corner muddy the frequency of abundance. Random bags or boxes at the entrance choke the life force of new energy trying to enter. Old papers or forgotten laundry in the heart of the home disrupt emotional balance and family harmony. But the solution isn't minimalism for the sake of aesthetics. It's sacred intention. Clarity in sacred spaces doesn't mean emptiness. It means purposeful placement. Every item should belong, should have a reason to be there, and should add to the energy of that space rather than take from it. A sacred space should breathe. It should feel alive. And it can only do that when it's not weighed down by objects that have no meaning, energy, or intention behind them. Shoes, for example, hold particular weight in this conversation. They symbolize transition, movement, grounding, and the journey between inner and outer life. If they are thrown haphazardly in the middle of the home, or worse, near areas meant for calm or manifestation, they introduce chaotic energy into those zones. They bring in the emotional dust of everywhere you've walked. Clarity requires boundaries, energetic, emotional, and physical. Where you place your shoes is a reflection of how consciously you live. If you treat your belongings like they don't matter, you're telling your subconscious that your energy doesn't matter either. Sacred spaces are powerful because they become mirrors. When you create clarity in them, you begin to experience clarity in your mind, your decisions, and your goals. Have you ever cleaned your room or your workspace and suddenly felt like your thoughts were more organized? That's not a coincidence. That's resonance. Energy responds to the environment it's in. A space that is clear, intentional, and energetically light has the power to shift your entire emotional and mental state. This is why rituals around space clearing are so important in nearly every spiritual tradition. Whether it's smudging with sage, placing salt in corners, lighting incense, or simply cleaning with focus and love, these actions reset the energy. They remove the psychic dust that collects when we live unconsciously. And the clearer your sacred spaces become, the more you can hear your inner voice feel your inner guidance, and attract outer success. Creating clarity doesn't require wealth or luxury. It requires attention and reverence. Look at your spaces. Ask yourself, does this corner feel light or heavy? Does this space invite inspiration or stress? Are the items here placed with love or left by default? Then begin the quiet ritual of reclaiming those spaces. Move the shoes. Empty the clutter. Clean with intention. Add symbols of light, maybe a candle, a crystal, a plant, or a sacred object. Whatever makes the space feel like a reflection of who you are becoming, not who you were. A cluttered space reflects a cluttered mind. A clear space becomes a vessel for transformation. When you honor the sacredness of your environment, you're not just tidying your home, you're reshaping your reality. The threshold of your home is not just a structural boundary. It is a symbolic gate between two worlds, the external and the internal, the chaotic and the sacred, the known and the unknown. It's the first place where energy enters and the last point it touches as it leaves. In ancient cultures, the threshold was revered as a powerful spiritual marker, often guarded with symbols, rituals, or blessings. It was understood that what crosses this boundary does not do so invisibly. It brings energy, emotion, intention, and vibration with it. This is why respecting the threshold is essential if you want to live a conscious, abundant, and spiritually aligned life. Modern living has diminished the sacredness of entrances. Shoes are kicked off in a hurry, and bags are tossed down, and the threshold becomes a dumping zone rather than a sacred space. But the symbolism of the threshold still operates whether we recognize it or not. When you treat the entry to your home with neglect, you unconsciously signal to your psyche that the boundary between your inner world and the outer chaos doesn't matter. That your peace, your energy, and your sacred space are open to whatever happens out there. When you leave shoes piled carelessly at your front door, you bring with them the energetic residue of the outside world. Shoes carry the vibrations of every space you've been. Stressful offices, polluted streets, emotionally heavy places. Leaving them right at the entrance without order, intention, or reverence means you're allowing those energies to hover in the very spot where new energy should be entering your life. It creates an energetic blockage, a sort of psychic congestion right at the doorway of your opportunity, clarity, and healing. Symbolism shapes destiny because symbols speak directly to the subconscious. Your subconscious doesn't understand spreadsheets and logic. It understands rituals, placement, images, and repetition. It notices that the first thing you see when you enter your home is a mess, and it starts to believe that life is disordered, that your inner world is filled with noise, that clarity and success are far away. On the other hand, when your threshold is treated as sacred, clean, organized, intentional, it sends the message that this home is protected, that this space is consciously created, and that you value peace, power, and purpose. In many cultures, people place salt, water, fire, or blessed objects near the door to symbolically cleanse energy as it enters. Others hang protective symbols like the nazar, the evil eye, or wind chimes to guard the portal. These aren't just superstitions, they are subconscious signals to the mind and the spirit that this space is watched, protected, and sacred. The way you treat your threshold mirrors the way you treat yourself. If you want to command more from life, you have to treat the point where life meets you with reverence. Think of the threshold as a filter. Everything from the outside world must pass through it to reach you. Ideas, opportunities, people, thoughts, even wealth. But if the threshold is blocked with clutter, confusion, and leftover energy, it can't filter effectively. What should be entering your life with clarity and alignment arrives distorted or delayed. That's why respecting this space is not just spiritual, it's practical. You're enhancing the flow of good into your life and reducing the influence of the negative. You don't need elaborate tools or rituals to reclaim your threshold. A simple, intentional routine can transform it. Start by clearing the space of physical clutter, especially shoes, bags, and anything that collects near the door without purpose. Designate a clear area for shoes that is hidden or closed, such as a cabinet or a discreet shelf. Add elements of symbolic cleansing. A small bowl of salt, a plant, a mirror to reflect negative energy away, or a meaningful object that reminds you of your purpose. You might even choose to bless the space regularly, lighting incense or simply pausing before entering to take a deep breath and leave the outside energy behind. When you treat the entry to your home like a temple gate instead of a hallway, everything changes. You walk into your space differently, more mindfully, more reverently, more grounded. And over time, your inner state begins to match that external message. Respecting the threshold becomes a daily act of alignment, a ritual of transition, and a bold declaration to the universe. I am conscious of what I allow into my life, and I honor the power of beginnings, because ultimately, your destiny is not shaped only by what you do. It is shaped by what you allow, what you protect, and what you honor. And it all begins at the threshold.